Hi, welcome to Midwest Magic Cleaning. My name is Doggo Borkenheimer, and today we're going to be cleaning what I feel is the funnest thing to clean in the whole house. And when I say that, I don't mean that it's fun as in maybe you'll start doing the job and you can make it tolerable. I mean, it's actually legitimately fun because as you're going through this stuff, you'll be like, oh my God, I totally forgot this stuff existed, and it's like a treasure hunt. So we are going to go into the fabled junk drawer. Don't scroll away. It's not that boring. You sit down. I am so sorry. I did not mean to get that aggressive. Just trust me, it's fun. When I do a junk drawer, I try to, in this case, we've got two junk drawers. I try to designate one drawer for one kind of item. And in every house I've ever done, I have found one drawer that is just absolutely annihilated with cords and cables. So I tend to like to put cables and cords in one junk drawer and anything that's technology related in with those. And then I usually make the second drawer for things like warranties and tools and household DIY type of stuff. So in this one, I'm going to start out by unspaghettiing these cables. And as I'm doing it, I'm untangling them and I'm putting them into groups. So I'm going to have one group that is like these things plug into a wall. This is a 12 volt adapter. This is a DC outlet or whatever. I don't know the terminology. I'm making this stuff up as I go along. It has a pluggy thing that goes into the wall-y section. I'm going to put all those together. Then I'm going to get charging cables that are for iPhones, Android, so USB-Cs, fire cables, and things like that that are commonly used. But the ones that I'm really looking out for are the weird ones. So every household I've ever been in has some old piece of technology that they still use, or they'll buy some cheap piece of tech off of Temu or Amazon or Dollar Tree or Dollar Bills, y'all, whatever. I don't know how shops are named, but they will buy one of those and it'll have some weird USB thing that looks like this, and they'll think if I only had that one cord, I could actually use this item, but there's no way that these are even made anymore. So I find all those, and whenever I'm separating those out, I'm going to look for two things. Does it look like it still works? So does it have any frayed or chewed edges on it? Are there any wires poking out? Does it look like the edge that's connected to the hard part, like where the wire meets the hard part of the USB, is that broken in any way? If it is, it's going in the trash. If it's not, then I'm going to look at the connections themselves and see if they've been smashed, because a lot of those ones that are shaped like a trapezoid will get crushed by something over the years. It's one of the reasons they stopped making them, because they were so easily damaged. If everything looks good, then I want to keep that thing, and I want to keep one of them, maybe two. If they're still kind of common and they're not totally obsolete, I want to likely keep one, but maybe I can go two. One of the things that we're going to do is we're going to separate all these into those sections, and then we're going to get Ziploc bags. You'll see me getting that here in a minute. And the Ziploc bags are because I don't remember the name of this phenomenon, but there is legitimately a phenomenon in physics. There's a name for it, where cords kind of tangle themselves over time. If you throw them in a drawer, if you've got cords behind a TV, if you've got them behind the couch, for some reason, even though you've never touched them, eventually they tangle all to hell. That is a recognized phenomenon in physics, and I don't remember what they call it. I'm going to undo that in this drawer, and then I'm going to prevent that from happening in the future by putting these cords neatly wrapped up inside of a Ziploc bag, so that when somebody puts something else in this drawer or takes something out of it, it doesn't cause that phenomenon to happen. So they're all neatly packaged together. Right now, I'm so sorry about coughing and clearing my throat on here. I'm just getting over like a 2 week long cold, and I'm almost back to normal. So suck it. You suck it, mom. Mom. Anyway, I'm going to clear out this drawer and I want to separate all this stuff out. And the other thing that I'm doing when I'm clearing this drawer is I'm separating any tools that I find. Any loose batteries that I find automatically go in the trash. If they're still in the package, I'm fine with keeping them. If they're loose, they're likely dead. And so just get rid of them. I have permission to do whatever I want with anything in these drawers because the friend I'm helping, who happens to be a member of the members section here on the channel, said, "Yeah, these are drawers that nobody's gone through in ages. We just cram stuff in them, do what you need to do with it." That's where this gets fun for me. Is when I'm doing this for somebody who actually does use the stuff in those drawers, we have to confront logic. We have to say, okay, have you opened this drawer within the last year? If not, there's probably not one thing in that drawer that's savable. I mean, it's savable, but it's not worth saving. So you're going to find a pair of earbuds or old wired earphones in here, and you're going to be like, oh, those are still good. Yeah, but are they? Like, I mean, they're still good technically, but they're still good in the way that a 2-year-old can of sardines is still good. You're probably not going to get hungry for that overnight and say, you know what, a 2-year-old thing of sardines I think needs to be cracked open. You haven't eaten them in 2 years, probably not going to eat them. It's the same thing with the earphones in here. They probably still work, but they're wired. You've now switched to earbuds. These have old ear stuff on them, and they're just obsolete now. So there's a secondary thing that pops up whenever people are getting rid of stuff like this, in which they're thinking, well, they're still good, and I don't want them to go to the landfill. I don't want these to, I don't want to contribute to the landfill problem that we already have. And the problem with that, to me, is that every single thing that you owned, or ever will own is destined for a landfill at some point. It is going to a landfill. The only difference is when you allow that to happen. So by keeping these things, yes, you're keeping them out of a landfill temporarily, maybe for a couple of years. But in doing that, you're making your house the landfill. You're saying, I don't want this to go out there. I would rather it clog up my own house and be useless trash in my drawers. I'm keeping it for no reason whatsoever. And so that, when you're going through a junk drawer, or really any declutter, closets or whatever, that's one thing I'd like you to keep in mind is, have I used this within the last year? If no, will I ever use it? Not will I potentially use it. Will I actually use it? Will I use this thing today, right now? If the answer is no, it's probably time to get rid of that thing. So right now in my closets, I've got 2 sets of sheets that I hate. I bought them. I used them a couple times. I don't like the way they feel, but for some reason I just can't throw them away. And I think that's mainly because, well, I paid for them. They're still good. They're still fairly new, but I don't want to get rid of them because of that. And it's like, no, dude, just pack those things up, bring them to a thrift store, or throw them away, one of the two. I have that with a lot of stuff. I went through my bathroom cabinets the other day, and I found 4 sets of hair clippers. 3 of them no longer worked, or worked so badly that they weren't worth keeping. And I finally was like, okay, these were $40 to $60 each. It's time for them to go. They've used up their value. They no longer work. You haven't wasted the money because you got stuff out of it. You got, your hair clipped by them multiple times. And even if they worked, there's no way I could use 4 sets of hair clippers. So either give them away or throw them away, one of the two. So that's one thing that I deal a lot, which is getting over the potential of an item versus the actual logistics of an item. Are you mechanically, physically going to use the thing? So anyway, we're not going to dive into what you should keep versus what you should throw away in great detail, because pretty much my entire channel is about that. But the fun part of it for me is, so for those of you who are new to the channel, I'm autistic. I'm high masking autistic. And it's one of the reasons you see me looking away a lot, because looking into that camera to me is the same as looking into somebody's eyes, and it feels weird and creepy. Anyway, um, I I love going through this stuff from an autistic standpoint because it's like separating out puzzle pieces. Untangling those cords is a dopamine hit for me. And getting them all wound up in a nice, neat, organized manner is also a dopamine hit for me. But beyond that, it's really cool whenever I'm going through a junk drawer and I find things that people forgot they even had. So it always is a really cool thing when I find old rings, old pocket knives that that people were like, that was my dad's before he passed away. I totally forgot it was in there. But also things that you wouldn't expect, like I've got a Ring doorbell, and it takes a very specific type of security screwdriver. It's called, well, I'm not even going to say what kind of screwdriver it is because I don't want to encourage thieves to steal my Ring doorbell. But anyway, it's a very specific type of screwdriver, and they include one with the package, but I always throw those things away just out of habit, like all the Allen wrenches that come with IKEA type furniture and stuff like that. Um, but most people just throw it in a junk drawer, and so they will go through it and find the one tool that they need for one thing in their house that they totally forgot they had, and now they don't have to go on Amazon and search out what kind of screwdriver that is. Stuff like that always gives me a little tingle in the brain area, in my big old brain face, in my brain head. I've got to stop coming up with weird names for common things. But I find those things and they're cool and I like it. But the whole thing is like a treasure hunt. And so in this one, I found this little toy truck sort of robot thing, and I found an old, I think it's a Nintendo handle, a controller. My mom used to call them handles, so it's still embedded in my head that it's a handle. But controller, old remotes to things that probably don't exist, I tend to get rid of those because if it's a remote control inside of a drawer that hasn't been opened in a year, you don't need the remote. You just don't. You've forgotten about it. There's never been a time where you're like, man, if only I had that remote, my life would be so much better. Like I would have my PhD right now if it wasn't for that lost remote, because that's all I can function part of my brain to. That's all I can devote part of my brain to, is wondering where that remote went. That's not a thing at all. I don't know why I said it like that. That's weird. Stop being weird, dude. This is why you don't have any friends. Now, I am going to go back on one thing I said, which is the potential versus actual use. The weird cords, I'm going to put all in one Ziploc bag. And if I had a marker here, I would genuinely just write weird cords on the side of it. Instead, I just told her, the friend I'm helping, where those were and what that bag was. But those are potentials. Those, I've been in situations where my ex-wife would be looking for a specific cord because she had an old Kindle and it required one of the cords that's basically shaped like something that doesn't exist in nature. Like it's something that the designers were like, okay, we're going to design this cord. We need a specific type of fitting in order to fit into the Kindle, so they have to buy these Kindle cords, and then it's shaped like it's got 9 sides and it enters the 4th dimension in some weird way, and if you don't have a 4th dimensional wire, it won't fit. So anytime I find one of those types of wires, I'm going to keep at least one, like I said earlier, knowing that there's a high likelihood they will never be used. But I still can't get past the fact that the second I throw away one of those cords or cables, I'm going to need it, or they're going to need it, and it will just be a waste. And now they've got to go track one down on Amazon, but you don't know what to call them besides weird Kindle cord thing, and that doesn't help matters. But yeah, those, I am going to save those for potential just in case. I mean, worst comes to worst, you never use it, and then 2 years from now you throw it away anyway. The second drawer here is something that I run into in my everyday life and in every single house I ever clean. Now, given the houses I clean on the channel are extreme cases, so they save a lot of stuff anyway, because they have heavy ADHD in the house, and more often they have actual hoarding disorder. So it's a little different for the houses I clean. But I've been known to save owner's manuals for things that I will never need an owner's manual for. There are, like, if I get a new blender and the owner's manual is in a Ziploc bag or something, it just feels more important, like I have to keep it. Like, what if the blender suddenly starts beeping and I hear a voice that says, "You have now hit self destruct"? Like, what do? I need to consult the owner's manual immediately. Or what if I put it on 5, but my mashed potatoes require a 2, and now that I hit 5, it'll cause like mashed potato friction and they'll catch on fire. And I would have known that if I would have had the owner's manual. But the truth is, I don't even use warranties, let alone owner's manuals. And if I did need an owner's manual, I could just get it online. I have a phone. All the information that has ever existed is in that phone, and I can access that at any given moment. YouTube exists. If the blender breaks and I need to know what is wrong with it, or I need to troubleshoot it, I can just put the name and model of my blender into YouTube, and somebody has got a video on, hey, this blender was racist and I need to unracify it. And here's how I did that. And they'll show you how to press certain buttons and stuff to unracist your blender. That's never happened. But if it did, I've got the access to the internet, so I don't need the owners. I don't need the owner's manuals, is what I'm trying to say. But I keep them. Now, there are certain ones that we will keep. Big ticket, big money items like a furnace. If they've got a guarantee or an owner's manual or an operations manual or anything like that for a furnace, you might as well keep that, because if you ever have to have somebody work on it, there are likely some sort of wiring schematics or something in with that paperwork that it would save them a bunch of time if they had access to it. So I do save those. Washers and dryers, if they've got some paperwork, you might as well save them. But like the paperwork that documents and registers my weed eater, probably not going to need it. It's a weed eater. If it breaks, I can bring it to the weed eater guy, and he's not going to be like, hey, do you still have the owner's manual? Otherwise, I can't do anything with this. It's all weed eaters are so different that I need the exact owner's manual in order to do this to spec. So it's time to get rid of stuff like that. Recipes, if I had my way, I would get rid of all printed out recipes and all recipe books. Now, I know you're going to hate me for saying that, and I know there's a reason for them. I know that people like to collect them, they use them. I personally have just moved all my stuff so much to the internet that it's easy for me to find that stuff. So instead of printing or having a book, I will just favorite certain websites or certain apps, or download a recipe and keep them in a recipe folder. Because I know that I'm weird like that and I do not represent the majority or even a minority of people, I keep all the recipes and I try to put them together. So the only time that I have encountered that in real life and gotten rid of recipes was when a woman had passed away, and she had, and I'm not exaggerating about this, over 100,000 recipes clipped from magazines. There's no way she could have made all those in her lifetime. She just liked collecting recipes. If she saw one in a magazine, she had to clip it out, she had to keep it. There were thousands of Ziploc bags and folders and boxes full of recipes. I got rid of those because, come on, man. Like, once she passed away, there's not going to be a point where her son looks at me and says, wait a minute, did you get rid of the peanut butter cookie recipe? Because that's the one thing I wanted from the house. I needed you to go through all 100,000 recipes and find that specific cookie recipe. And now that I don't have it, I'm going to sue you for $2.6 billion. And I would have just had to eat that. But I would have gladly paid the $2.6 billion in order for them to not have 100,000 recipes anymore. So the last basket that I'm going to work on here is one that was in her office, and these are ones that she uses all the time. They're mostly cords, and they're very specific oddball cords because she works with photography equipment, with cameras, both digital and physical analog type cameras, and they have very weird cords because of course they do. So all I did here was wrap up her stuff, put all of the specific types of cords that kind of matched in one bag and another type of cord in another. So what I mean by that is instead of USBs, like all USBs would go in this bag, but all the ones that have like a headphone type jack, those went in another bag. And all I did was wind them up, put them in the bags so that they would not retangle again. Um, and mainly, I didn't have to do that at all, but I just did it because I'm weird and I like doing it, and it made me happy. It made my brain happy. My brain phase. My stop. Your brain is fine. You don't have to add brain face and brain beak and your big old brain head, your big cranking brain hog. Anyway, for those of you who have been longtime members of the channel, I will let you know that my illness, my cold has passed. I'm getting back into the swing of things again. We do have at least one, if not two or three houses lined up for this coming week. Jason has been out. He got a nasty infection in his mouth. Like something went wrong with his teeth and his gums, and he got this really bad infection. I know that's TMI. You don't need to know that. But because of that, I'm letting him have some time off. I will be working with Rick from the channel Rick the Jerk. I'll leave a link to his channel down below in the description. I'm probably going to be working with him on a couple of projects, including one of the upcoming houses that we've got. We'll see what his time looks like, but it's a house where a woman either let somebody rent or she let somebody just stay there, one of the two, just to help them out. And when they left, the entire house was utterly trashed, and they left most of their stuff behind when they moved out. So it's going to be a total clear out. I like doing those because I don't have to worry about keeping things. I don't have to worry about, okay, look, this cup and this plate are so molded that the cup and plate are no longer viable. I'd rather you not have this in your house and then have to argue with them about how it's a perfectly good plate and they could clean it up and all that. I don't have to worry about any of that. I can just put stuff in the trash, and then when I find stuff that's good, donate it to somebody who needs it. So I'm looking forward to that one because I'd like to give this woman back her house, and then if she wants to rent it out again, that's fine. If she wants to sell it, at least she doesn't have to worry about hauling all this stuff out and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I want to be starting on one of those this coming week. So after that, I have somebody working on the website, and that should be up hopefully within the next week. And when that gets up, I'll finally be selling the ultrafine microfibers and the regular microfibers. I'm probably going to put some stuffed moose and stuff like that in there, just because I think it would be fun and funny. We'll be selling all kinds of stuff through our own website rather than Amazon or TeePublic and sites like that. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please give it a consideration, or you know what, just do it. Don't consider it. Just hit the button. It's free. You click the subscribe button. I go up by 1 subscriber, and once we hit 1 million subscribers, I'll never ask for your subscription again, because at that point I'll have the gold plaque from YouTube, and that's all I've ever wanted from the site. I do all these cleanings for free, and the only thing I've ever wanted in return is the gold plaque from YouTube. So you clicking that button puts me one more toward that goal, and we're already 3/4 of the way there. So suck it. And for members, I will see you all on this coming Wednesday. Everybody else, I'll see you next weekend. Later.